Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am so excited to share four, because you're going to get a bonus project today, 4 beautiful, easy projects made with the Splendid Thoughts Suite from the Stampin' Up! July-December mini catalog. Now, this catalog's only been out for a couple of weeks. It came out on Canada Day, and I have had so much fun playing with new products. Some of you may have caught my launch party last week. I had so much fun with you guys for 2 hours on Tuesday evening last week, showcasing some of the new products, both from the mini and from the Celebration promotion. And today I am going to focus on one of the suites I touched on last week, and it's called Splendid Thoughts. Now, this is a gorgeous suite of products, and what I love about it is it's not super fall and it's not super Christmas, because I'm not quite ready to think about that yet. So this suite is just stunning, and it makes beautiful cards for any season. So let me just pull up my video here on my iPad so we can see who's with me. All right, who's here? Come on. There I am. All right, who have we got? We've got Julie and Violet. Hi, Laura. Hi, Krista. Hi, Sonia. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed my launch, Laura. That makes me feel good. Hi, Holly. Thanks for joining. So yeah, so this is a fantastic suite of products. I'm going to show you the suite. I'm going to show you a celebration item that coordinates with the suite, and I'm going to show you some projects that use both the suite and the celebration item. So I hope you're ready. I just have to share, today I had an opportunity to snuggle a 5-week-old baby. She just left at about 3:30, and you know that warm fuzzy feeling you get when you snuggle a newborn? Oh, the baby smell, and just, I got the baby warm fuzzies going. So one of my former students, who has become a good friend, she just gave birth just over a month ago to a little girl, and they came for a visit today, and I got to meet her, and she is just the most precious little bundle of, goodness. So anyway, I am on a baby high right now. So I have some really cute projects to share, not baby projects, but any occasion projects using the Splendid Thought Suites. So let me flip my camera and we'll get to it. I will stop talking and we'll do some stamping, okay? I'm getting a million notifications on my phone. I need to turn that off. All right. Julie, a new little Gersa? Not a chance. That ship sailed a long time ago. Nope. I'll hold other people's babies. So sweet. All right, so here we go. You're going to need your shades for this, because this fabulous DSP is so shiny and bright. So if you got some shades, whip them on, because this is really, really bright paper. Anyway, let's talk about the products in the suite, and then we will get to it. So as always, the sort of anchor of any product suite is our bundle. So we have this gorgeous stamp set. Love the combination of fonts in the sentiments in this set, the block lettering with the script. And then we have some fun sort of abstract botanical images, and of course a little bee. And then we have coordinating dies that cut out not only the stamped images, but as a whole bunch of other sort of botanical images as well. So that's the bundle. You're going to see that in action. Then we have, let me show you the embellishments first. So we have the open leaf trinkets. These are about 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches long. They're sort of a coppery, like a warm gold, or not quite a copper. I would say they're more of a warm gold. And they work with all of the metallics in this suite. They have a little loop, so it's easy to thread some twine or ribbon through there to add them to your project. So cute little trinkets. And then we have the fabulous seam binding ribbon. Love this seam binding. I liked seam binding before, but one of the things that was kind of disappointing about it is that it would crush really easily. So you'd tie a pretty bow, put it on your card, and then you'd put it in an envelope and the bow would get squished. This seam binding is actually a little bit stiffer, so it feels like it's been starched a little bit. It's not nearly as sort of soft as the old seam binding we carried. So it's got a little bit more substance to it. Still super easy to tie. Again, you're going to see that in action in a little bit. So I'm going to keep that handy. I'm going to need it. And then we have this gorgeous DSP. Now, I mentioned you're going to need your shades. It is so shiny. If my cat was in here, Stella would be going crazy. Anytime she sees light like reflections on the wall. She goes bonkers. But this gorgeous foil paper, every single sheet in the pack has one side that's all foil. The other side is not foiled. Okay, so it's still reversible DSP, but look at these gorgeous images. All of the images on the foiling are embossed. Embossing simply means it's raised texture. Okay. Oh, Laura, there you go. The fabric expert has spoken. A little bit of polyester in the seam binding. Okay. Thank you for that. So look at this. So this is a copper. Okay. Actually, I think that's more of a champagne. This is the copper. I'm not sure if you can see the difference in those. This is a copper. This is like a seafoam pearlized, just gorgeous. There's a silver and a pink. That's kind of like a fresh freesia, and then green, which is like a seafoam foil as well. And then of course we have on the reverse side these gorgeous patterns that are equally stunning. Hard to cover up the foils, I know, but we have these gorgeous patterns on the back that can be used as well. So this sort of green leafy image, we're going to see this one on a project in a little bit. Love this sort of knit texture. Really soft watercolor leaves, and then a couple of botanical prints. So just gorgeous, gorgeous paper. So that is the Splendid Thoughts Designer Series paper. And then we have coordinating products in Celebration that you can get free with a $60 order. So we have cards and envelopes. So I'm going to pull out the 2 cards. So they come in a soft seafoam and a pool party. You get 10 of each in the pack. And both, they're printed, so you've got some nice texture there, and then you get your 20 envelopes. Now I'm pulling these out because I'm going to actually use these on a project in a little bit. So there are the cards and envelopes that are free with a $60 order during Celebration. Okay. All right. Hi, Tracy. Glad you made it. Oh, you prefer the crinkly seam binding, do you, Linda? Yeah, we have the narrow white crinkly seam binding that I like, and because it comes crinkled, like it's intentionally crinkled. The stuff that was smooth that wasn't intended to be crinkled, I actually really like this because it holds its shape a little better. So, all right, let's get to some stamping. Oh, have fun at puppy school, Betty. We'll see you in a little bit. First card we're going to make is this one. It is so shiny because I let the DSP do all the work. Okay, so super quick and easy to put this together. As you saw, let me just pull in that pattern. So we have this pattern that has the images along the top and the bottom. So all I did is I cut a 4-inch piece and then cut it 5 1/4, and that gave me my card front. Okay, so like so quick and easy to create your background for this one. So we have our beautiful, now this is just cut from a different section. So my bee's flying the other way. So I might actually put my focal image on the opposite side just to balance it out a little bit. But then I have a stitch circle that I have cut again from the same DSP, but using that reverse side. So I've cut this using the Stylish Shapes dies. Okay. So this piece was 4 by 5 1/4. This is the second largest circle from the Stylish Shapes. Okay. Now, before we put that on, we're going to add a little bit of this beautiful seam binding. Hi, Judy from Wawa. I hope it's as beautiful up there as it is here. We've had a gorgeous stretch of days here, low humidity and beautiful temperatures. So I'm just going to run a little bit of this seam binding across the front of my DSP panel here. So we're going to add a glue dot and stick that down, just make sure it's straight. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead actually and glue this to my card front right away. So my card base is thick basic white. It is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we're going to fold that in half along our score line, crisp it up, and then we'll add a little bit of seal, and we'll stick her down. So we're just going to center this on our card base. Okay, so there is, isn't that pretty? You could just put a sentiment on just like that and call it a day. All right, so this is going to go on this side just to kind of mirror this one because like I said, my bees go up here and go in the opposite direction. So I have here several of the die cuts. So these are the dies that don't cut out stamped images. They just cut shapes. And to make things super quick and easy, I have put adhesive sheets on the back of my cardstock before I die cut. So that's going to make these really quick to stick down. Now you can certainly glue these just with liquid glue. It does work. but when I do my videos, it's always nice to just have them quick and easy, Insta sticker, and we're just gonna stick around like that. Okay, so there's my one. This one's soft seafoam, and then I have a couple in white. So we'll just peel off our backing, if I could find the backing here. Where are you, backing? These things are great until you can't find the backing. There we go. All right, so we'll pop this guy on, kind of going this way. And then we have one more here. And we'll peel the backing off that one. Oh, almost all my bits came out. That's always good. And that one's just gonna kind of go off that way. So you see how quick and easy it is to stick these die cuts down when you have your adhesive sheets on them. Okay, so that's gonna go on right about there. We're gonna add some dimensionals and pop it up. Oh, I see we've got lots more friends joining. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are featuring the Splendid Thoughts Suite today. It is in the new Stampin' Up July, December mini catalog. Just came out a couple of weeks ago. Not even a couple of weeks, almost 2 weeks. July 1st, Canada Day. And so I'm featuring a new suite of products from that catalog. All right, so we've got that done. We need to stamp and punch our sentiment. I am using the Let's Celebrate sentiment from the Splendid Thought Suite. And I'm stamping in Smoky Slate. Smoky Slate is one of my very favorite neutrals, just because it's sort of a medium gray, goes with everything, not too bold. So I'm using a punch. I should have written down the name of this punch because I never remember it. Someone who's watching who has a catalog handy can look it up. It's a great little label punch. And the cool thing is you can actually punch a slot or a hole if you wanted to make a little tag out of that label as well. So let's get that out of the way. We're going to put this on, this time on this side. I'm going to put it over to the side a little bit more. And again, I'm going to put a couple dimensionals where it's going to hang off the end, and then a little bit of tape where it's going to overlap the circle that's already popped. So we're going to pop that on. Whoopsie, don't stick there. We're going to put it right about there. Okay. There we go. And then we're going to add a bow. Now I've already had a bow tied, so I'm just going to add this to the opposite corner of my circle here. I'm going to just use a glue dot. So I'm just going to press the knot of my bow into my glue dot and just tuck that in right at the edge of my circle there. Okay, and then the last little touch is a bit of bling. Every card needs bow or bling, or better if it has both, in my opinion. So I'm using some of our new festive pearls. Now, don't be confused. If you get a pack of these, they were mislabeled. These ones say red and green adhesive back pearls. There are red and green pearls in here, but there are also silver and gold. Now, I've used up all of my silver, almost all my green, and nearly all my gold at this point. But you actually get 4 shades. So the red, so this is like a cherry cobbler or a real red. You get, what is this one? Soft succulent, a silver, and a gold metallic. So I'm going to use a couple of the gold ones here just to add a little bling and sparkle to our project. Whoops, come here, you. And there we go. How quick and easy was that card? So easy when you have fabulous DSP to do all the work. Okay. All right. So there we go. That's number 1. Let's set this aside over here. And we're going to get on to number 2. Number 2 is a fun fold. It's a new one that I just learned. I love it. I actually showed it to my team during our team meeting last night, and they quite enjoyed it. So hopefully you will too. So here we go. This one is, I actually got this from Stu Campfield. She is a demonstrator in the US, and it is her freestanding, what does she call it? Vertical freestanding fun fold or something. I kind of call it a floating panel card because it does kind of look like these 2 panels are floating. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make this. It's a lot easier than it looks, and it is a great way to showcase the gorgeous DSP. So here we go. I'm going to pull in all my bits and pieces here, and we'll kind of work through this as we go. All right, so you basically need 3 pieces of cardstock. You can get 1 card from 1 sheet. If I put these all sort of together. That's almost one full sheet. You got a little bit here, and we actually cut a little bit off the edge. So it's just shy of a full sheet of cardstock to make this one, okay? So to start, I have a piece that is 5.5 by 8 inches, okay? So I've cut a 1/2 inch off of the edge of my cardstock before I scored. Then I went ahead and scored, and I'll give you the measurements. Now, you don't need to write these down. They will actually be in the video description afterwards, okay? I will go and edit the video description, so all of the measurements will be there. So don't feel like you have to quickly try to scribble them down, okay? All right, so I have scored at 1.5, 2 3/4, 5 1/4, and 6.5. So there's 4 score lines. I'm not sure how well they show. Maybe I'll turn it this way. Sometimes the deboss side is a little bit easier to see. So 1.5, 2 3/4, 5 1/4, and 6.5. Okay. So then we're going to do a bit of folding. So I'm going to turn this to portrait orientation, and not my first score line, but my second one, I'm going to fold inwards to create a valley fold. And I always like to crisp up my folds, make sure my edges are nice and straight. Sometimes we don't score perfectly straight, so it's always nice to kind of compensate for that. Make sure we get nice, straight, even lines. Then my other score line here, I'm going to fold back to create a mountain. Now these sides are not going to meet. Do you see that? How there's a little bit of an overlap there? That's supposed to be that way, so don't be alarmed. Okay, so if I turn it this way, you can see I have a mountain and a valley. Okay, so that's one side. We're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Yes, Joyce, and you did a lovely job making your card. I quite love it. All right, so we've got that one folded, and then again, I'm going to fold back. And ideally, in a perfect world, these 2 folds will match. They may not. It's not a big deal if they don't. Okay, if you have a bit of a gap or see how these overlap just slightly, it doesn't really matter. We're not going to see that. Okay, so again, I'm just burnishing it really well, but that's going to form part of our base that's going to stand up. All right, so that's that piece. We're going to set that aside for a moment, and I'm going to bring in a second piece of white cardstock. Now, I'm just using regular basic white. Let me just give you a sort of caution here. On my sample, I use thick basic white, and it's actually a little bit too heavy because when I try to close it, it doesn't really lie very flat. Okay, can you see how it wants to pop out all the time? So what I would probably do if I were using thick basic white is I would put a belly band on there to make sure that that stays put. However, I learned from my mistake, and I'm telling you, I'm using here regular basic white, and it's going to work a whole lot better. So again, I have a piece of basic white cardstock. It is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So it's 1/4 of a sheet of cardstock. And before I do anything with it, I'm going to add a little bit of this gorgeous DSP. So I have 2 strips. This is that pink foil that are cut to 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/8. Okay, now if you have been watching my videos for any length of time, you know that I like really narrow borders on my layers. If you are someone who doesn't like cutting 8s, if you don't like reading the 8s on the trimmer, you could certainly cut this to 3/4 by 5 1/4, and you'll just have slightly larger borders, that's all. Okay, so I'm going to put my 2 pieces, my 2 strips on either side of my 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch piece. Okay, and we're going to glue those down. So I'm just going to use a little bit, actually I'm going to use a bit of liquid glue so I can wiggle them into position. Do not need a lot of this glue. It is super strong. So we're just going to kind of wiggle that into place. Okay, and then just give it a bit of a burnish to spread that glue out. Okay, and then same thing on the other side. And we'll stick that down and get that into place. And again, give it a bit of a burnish to spread out the glue. Okay, so that is my back panel. So that is actually this back panel here, this piece. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to come back to my folded piece, and we're going to add some DSP to this one. So I'm going to open it up for a minute, and I have 2 more strips of the same paper that are cut to 1 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, now these are going to go on these little middle panels here. So not the two outside, not the inside, but that middle panel on each side. Now for this one, if you look on my sample, I actually use the reverse side. And I know it can be hard to cover up the foil. It is gorgeous, but it is nice to have a little bit of contrast. So I am going to go ahead and put glue on that foil and cover it up to get that contrasting pattern. Okay, so again, a little bit of adhesive. This time I'm going to use some seal. And this is going to go, it's going to fit in there just perfectly. You're going to, again, have your narrow little 1/16 of an inch border. Oh, got a little glue booger there. Let's get rid of that. And we'll add this. Hi, Elfie. Welcome. So we're going to pop this on. And again, just fit that in there quite nicely. Okay, so there are our 2 panels. And then we have one more panel. This one is 1 3/8 by 5 3/8, and it's going to go on the rightmost section. Okay, so again, I'm going to add a little bit of seal. And this time I am using the foil side. And I just want to put this on, again, making sure that my edges line up. It's nice and even. Okay, so again, this is going to be our fold out piece that we're going to see when we open the card. All right, now it's time to attach this piece to our backdrop. So to do this, what we're going to do, I'll explain it in a second and then I'll actually do it. So what we're going to do is center this panel, this folded panel. I'm going to close it up and center it on my background piece. And when I go to glue this, I just want to make sure that those bottom edges are flush, okay? Because that is what's going to stand our card up, right? And if our bottom edges are not flush, it's going to be a little wonky. So I'm going to put some adhesive all over this back section here. I like using tape on fun folds. I like using tape most of the time. Seal is my very favorite. But you can certainly use liquid glue. I just find it's my sort of go-to. So I'm going to go ahead and center this. Now I find it easiest actually to hold this up so I can kind of see this background piece, because that's the part that I'm really focusing on centering. So I'm centering it between my DSP pieces, and again making sure that the bottom edge lines up flush. So I'm going to stick that down, turn it over, and just burnish that well. Okay, and there I have my little pop out. Okay, now this on its own is really cute, this sort of pop out gatefold. You could put another piece of DSP here and call it a day. That would be a really cute card. But we're going to add one more layer. So I have a final piece of designer series paper. This is white cardstock, basic white, and it is cut to 3.5 by 5.5. Okay, so that's going to form our panel that's going to go on the front. And then I have another piece of that gorgeous paper. It's the foil on one side, but I'm going to use the non-foiled side as the backdrop for my focal image. So this one is cut to 3 3/8 by 5 3/8. So I'm going to layer that on my white cardstock here. Okay, just centering it on there like that. So again, we'll add a little bit of glue. And we're going to pop that on just like that. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to decorate. So I have all sorts of little bits and bobs here. I have a couple of stamped images. So these are stamped, and I'm going to actually do a little demo here for you so that you know what to expect. So this is a little bit of an abstract image, and I want to show you what it stamps like, because if you're not prepared, you'll think, oh, I'm doing this wrong, but you're not. Trust me. So I'm going to start with some fresh Freesia ink. And I'm going to just use this little scrap of white here, and I'm going to use this sort of, it looks like eucalyptus, I think. So we're going to stamp that in the fresh Freesia ink. Okay. Now, when I go to add this sort of filled in texture, you're going to find that it doesn't actually line up, and it's not meant to. If it was meant to line up, these would be photopolymer stamps, right? Anytime we have images that are designed to be two-step stamping, meaning they're meant to line up, they're photopolymers, so you can see where you're putting them. These are not meant to line up. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. I'm going to stamp off because I want a lighter shade, and I'm just going to stamp over top of that image a couple of times. Do you see how it kind of creates sort of an abstract look? It's not meant to perfectly line up. It's not meant to fill in the leaves. It's just meant to add a little bit of texture. Okay? So just keep that in mind when you are using this set. Don't be alarmed if you're having trouble lining it up. You're not supposed to. Okay? Now, before I glue this on, I'm actually going to stamp on the inside of my card here. That just reminded me that I needed to do that. So I'm going to take that eucalyptus stamp again, and we're going to stamp it. And then we're going to add just a little bit of texture in a couple of spots. It's kind of like a giant spatter stamp. Think about it that way. And then you don't have to worry about trying to line it up. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with the sort of larger leaf image on the inside. So we're going to use the outline first, full strength. I'm using soft seafoam ink here. So we're just going to add a little bit of the leaves there. And then again, I'm going to come in with the solid image and just add a couple of those. It's not meant to line up, so I'm not worrying about trying to be perfect. Okay, so really cute, subtle, easy, can't go wrong. All right, you gotta love it when, you know how you get really stressed when you're trying to line up two-step stamping images? This one, no stress, easy peasy. Just stamp it wherever and it'll look good, I promise. All right, so there we go. Let's put together our focal image here. So I have my panel, and we are going to sort of build from the back forward. So I have some of these delicate die cuts again. This large sort of fern image is cut from soft seafoam, and again, I've got adhesive sheets on the back. Oh, and look at that. That one's going to come off nice and easy. I like it when that happens. So that's going to go towards the top of our panel here. Okay, and then I have this other leafy fern. I don't know what these are. They're abstract, so I couldn't tell you. The only one I kind of recognize is the eucalyptus. The rest, who knows? Some kind of botanical. So we're going to add this one kind of hanging out the side here, like that. Okay, these two are going to get popped up. Okay, so I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals. So we'll go one there, and we'll use some minis. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Claire. Thanks for joining me today. We are playing with the Splendid Thoughts Suite. Absolutely love this suite. And it's from the new mini, but it's not Christmas or fall, which I'm not quite ready for because I just started summer holidays. So we're just going to enjoy some non-festive stamps for a little while, and then we'll pull out the fall and Christmas. All right, so this one is going to layer over top. Now, this is going to get glued so that it kind of lays flat on top of this piece that we just put on, but it's popped from the back of the card. So I'm going to put some mini dimensionals on the back at the top of my piece here. So I'm going to put one right there. That should do it, I think. Yep, and then I'm going to just put a little bit of tape on the rest of it, and it will stick to the piece that's already raised. Okay, and that way it'll lay nice and flat. If I put dimensionals all over it, I'm going to end up with things sort of lumpy and bumpy there. Okay, so there is my sort of plant arrangement. And then I have a couple, oh, I forgot this little guy. This little guy is cut from fresh Freesia cardstock. So again, we'll pop him on. He's just going to kind of stick right on top of everything. Just like that. Okay. All right. So now I have a couple of these little label shapes. So these kind of double as a pot for our arrangement, but also as a tag. You could also sort of do an abstract oval or circle with them if you put two together. Lots of things you can do with that particular shape. And again, we're going to use that Let's Celebrate sentiment. And again, we're going to stamp in Smoky Slate. So we're going to stamp it right on our little semicircle here. And hopefully straight. Let's start with it straight. That always helps. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and layer this over top of the green one and let a little bit of that green show from the back. So I'm just going to take and add a little bit of seal. And then we're going to layer this. Whoopsie. So hopefully straight right about there looks good. Okay, and then that is going to get popped up on the front of our card. So I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on either side of my stems here. And maybe one right at the bottom. And then we're going to just center that, and again, hopefully get it straight. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to glue this onto our card. So we have our sort of fold out piece. This piece is going to get centered over top. Now I'm going to point out on my finished one, do you see how it's this piece that I'm going to glue on is a little bit wider, it's meant to be, than our panels that tuck in behind. Okay, so we're going to apply adhesive to this piece here only. Okay, the piece that has no DSP on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to close this up. And once again, when I'm gluing this down, I want to make sure that it's centered and that my bottom edges are flush. I got to do this the other way. I am right-handed. So we're just going to make sure that those are nice and flush and it is centered and hopefully relatively straight. There we go. Stick that on, and there we go. Isn't that fun? It's such an easy fun fold, but a little bit different. It's not one I've seen before. All right, so we're gonna add a little bit of bling. Now I love these. These are new embellishments from the mini catalog. They're called adhesive backed sequins and gems. And we have these sort of cool, these would look amazing on snowflakes. Add some bling to snowflakes. So they're like sort of a faceted shape. And then we have some sequins. So we've got them in like a pool party or coastal cabana and the fresh freesia. So we are gonna use the fresh freesia ones on this card. So we'll just go 1 and 2 and 3, and there we go. Isn't that fun? Love, love, love this fun fold. Okay, so that is number 2. So I'm going to set this aside, and you see how much better. Now it doesn't lie perfectly flat, but this one certainly, it doesn't pop nearly the same as this one. Okay, so if I burnish this a little bit more, this will lie much flatter. So avoid thick basic white when you're doing this fold. Okay, that's the moral of that story. All right, let's move on. Let me pull in my next basket here. So this one features those cards and envelopes that I showed you earlier. So let me just pull them in. So again, these are a Celebration freebie. I love them because they make crafting super, super quick. So I'm going to show you a really simple card that I designed using the cards and envelopes. And believe it or not, this piece is actually from an envelope. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to cut up your envelope to maximize the space that you use. So let's take our card base. So we're going to fold this in half along our score line first. Okay, they come pre-scored, super easy to use. Okay, then I'm going to take my envelope and I'm actually going to do a little bit of trimming. So I love that the flap of the envelope is printed and I want to use that on a project. So I'm actually going to cut off the flap first. So I'm just going to put it in my trimmer and I'm going to line up sort of where the flap ends, where the score line is, and just trim that off. Okay, so I can use that on a project. Now, to get at the rest, this envelope is printed on the inside and it's so, so pretty. So we are going to actually trim off the edges on both sides. So I just put it in, I'm just cutting off the edge, which is essentially where the fold is on both sides. And then I can open it up and look at all that pretty paper I have. Okay, so a fantastic way to use the inside of the envelope to decorate your projects. All right, so let me set these aside. I've already got some pre-cut. So we're going to put the card together. As I said, well, let me get this out of the way. I've already folded that one. So we'll use the folded one. There we go. I'm okay. I'll be fine. All right, so we got all our little bits and bobs here. So there's my base. This piece is cut from an envelope. It's just cut with the stitched rectangles dies. So that's going to be sort of the center of our card. Let me bring in the finished card here so you can see what we're making. There we go. So we're going to actually stick this down right away using some dimensionals, and then we're going to build our pieces on top. Okay, so we're going to add this using a couple of dimensionals. Well, more than a couple because it's a big piece. So we'll pop these on. Thanks, Peggy. Glad you like it. Thanks, Jackie. Glad you like that fold. It's really a fun one. And the paper makes it, right? It's just such a beautiful, beautiful DSP pack. So we're going to put that on in the middle of our card base. Okay, and then I have all kinds of bits and bobs here. Now these ones I've done a little bit differently. So I stamped them in, this one's stamped in Pool Party, this one's stamped in Soft Seafoam, and then I've used the corresponding light shade of blends to just add a little hint of color. So I didn't color it all the way through. I just kind of colored the base of the leaves on each image just to add a little bit of color. I'm not sure how well that shows on the camera because the lighting is quite bright. But you have to take my word for it. So we're going to start with that same tall fern piece. This one's cut from Pool Party cardstock. And again, I've got adhesive sheets on the back. So we're going to put that one on first. Oops, not too high because we don't want it to not fit in our envelope. Okay, so there is that one. Then we're going to add our stamped and colored sort of fern image. That's going to get glued flat. So I'm actually going to just use a little liquid glue here to just add a bit of adhesive. And again, we'll stick that guy on. Okay. Then we have another botanical, again, die cut with adhesive sheets on the back. This one's cut from Soft Seafoam. So we'll pop that one on. And I just love layering all these images. It just adds so much interest and texture to my arrangement here. And then my eucalyptus is kind of at the front of my arrangement, and this one is going to get popped. So again, I'm going to use some mini dimensionals. I'll just put a couple of these on and get rid of our backings. And that's just going to kind of go in the middle. That's sort of our focal point of our little floral arrangement there. Okay, and then I have here another one of those semicircles. This one's cut from the foil, so it's got that shine and bling, and that's going to go right at the base to kind of be our pot to hold our arrangement. So once again, I'm just going to add a couple of dimensionals on either side, and we're going to stick that on right about there. Okay, so there's our little potted arrangement. Now we need to stamp our sentiment. So I'm going with the Let's Celebrate theme today. I just felt like celebrating. Well, it is summer holidays, and I did get to hold a baby today. So there you go. That's why I'm celebrating. So once again, I'm stamping in the smoky slate. And I've got this little banner that I've die cut using the Stylish Shapes dies. And this time I'm going to decorate my banner with one of the die cuts. So again, we're going to just peel this off. Come on. This one didn't pop out quite as nicely as the others. There we go. Got some bits stuck to my finger here. So this one is going to get stuck sort of where my banner is going to go. So I just kind of stuck it to my background, and then I'm going to pop my banner up over top of it with a couple of dimensionals once again. So we'll go 1 and 2. And my banner's going to hang off the edge just a little bit to balance out the fact that this one hangs off the edge. Okay, just for symmetry. And there we go. And then we're going to add a bit of bling. So this time we're going to use some of the Pool Party sequins to add a little extra sparkle. We'll take one in there and one maybe up here. There we go. Okay. Now I have an extra little bonus project for you because I was having so much fun with these cards and envelopes. So I wanted to see what else I could do. So I came up with this cute little gift box. So this is like a little treat holder made from one of these card bases. I'm going to show you how you do it, and you're going to be shocked at how easy it is. Okay, so how cute would this be to put like some chocolate, or maybe a gift card will fit in there. You could put some you know, yummy soaps or something, and give that as a cute little gift. These would also make really cute wedding favors. So let me show you how to make this box. This is your bonus project. I normally only do 3, but I couldn't resist doing the 4th one. So I have here, this is another one of the card bases. It's already scored here, so that's one of our score lines taken care of. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put my card base into my trimmer so that the pattern side is to the left. And I'm going to score at 3.5 inches. Okay, so I have my score line here where I would normally fold my card in half. I'm going to put it in at 3.5 and I'm going to score. Okay. Then on the other side, the side that is not printed, I am going to cut off 3/4 of an inch. So I'm using my right hand ruler here and I'm going to cut off, make sure that's right, 3/4 of an inch. Is that right? I got to double check. Yes, that is right. Okay, 3/4 of an inch. Bye-bye. Okay. So then the next step is to just score on all 4 sides all the way around at 3/4 of an inch. So again, I'm going to use my right hand ruler just because I find that easiest when I'm doing smaller measurements. So I'm going to put it in at 3/4. This is the part that I just cut. So I'm going to move it over to 3/4 and I'm going to score. And then I'm going to rotate 90 degrees. Put it in at 3/4 and score the full length. Okay. And rotate. Put it in at 3/4 and score. And again, rotate 3/4 and score. That's it. That's all there is to it. Okay, this is the easiest little box you will ever see. Okay, so now what I need to do is create my flaps for my box. So I'm going to hold this again so that I have my printed side towards the left. So this little section here, so you'll see you have little squares where the score lines cross. So I need to create a flap. So I'm going to cut inwards from the bottom up to that first score line on all of these little squares here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I'm going to rotate it and do the same thing on the other side. So 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, now it's a matter of folding on all of my score lines. So I'm going to burnish them all. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to do my sides and fold all of these little flaps up. Okay, and then same thing along the other side. Hi Cheryl, welcome. Glad you could make it. Okay, so to form my box, these little flaps are going to tuck in this way. So this is going to be a box that opens like a shirt box, a little mini shirt box. Okay, so these little flaps here are going to get glued to the sides. Okay, this one is going to tuck inwards and these are going to get glued to the sides. And then the same thing is going to happen up here. We're going to fold that inwards and glue that to the sides. Super easy. Now, one little tip, if you are finding that your box is not square, it helps to sort of bevel your little flaps here a little bit. And that's just because sometimes when we're cutting with scissors, we don't cut perfectly straight. So it can be helpful to just bevel those flaps ever so slightly. So you get a little bit of an angle. So I'm just cutting like a little wedge off of each flap along the line that I trimmed with my scissors. Okay. And that will help my box to come together a little bit more square. So we're going to just trim that one and that one. Come here. And one more. Okay, so all of those lines that I cut with my scissors, I'm now beveling just to make them a little bit neater and tidier. So then I'm just going to fold in these little flaps. I'm going to put a little bit of seal on each one. You could certainly use tear and tape. You want to use something strong. You can use liquid glue, but you do have to give it time to set up. Okay, and then I'm just going to tuck in my flaps and secure them to form my box. Okay, so there's the base of my box. To do the lid, I'm going to do the same thing on these little flaps. Add a little bit of glue. And again, form my lid. Okay, so there's my box. And it closes up like a little shirt box. Except I'm catching my edge there. Yeah, there we go. Isn't that cute? Such a cute little box. Now, to decorate it, I'm going to show you, I've got all the bits cut. so I have two pieces of the envelope. Okay, so I cut up one envelope. This is that beautiful decorated flap, and it's going to go across the front of my box because I love that printed bit. So we're going to go ahead and stick that down with just a bit of liquid glue. And it's going to go not quite centered, a little bit below center. Okay, I'm going to open this up just so I can burnish it without crushing my box here. So there we go. Now on the inside, I cut some panels to decorate the inside because why not? They're free, right? These cards and envelopes are free with a $60 order, so let's use them. And I'm sorry, but the insides of these envelopes are just too pretty to just have on the inside of the envelope. I would just as soon use a plain old white envelope and use the pretty paper on my projects. So I'm just going to add my little flaps. Again, I will put all of the measurements for these up. I don't remember off the top of my head the size. I think this is 2 5/8 by, I want to say 3 7/8, but I'm not positive. I will put them up afterwards. Okay, so there's the inside of my box. I can put whatever I like in there. I'm going to close this back up, and we're going to add our focal image. So again, there's another piece of the envelope. I have a white stitched rectangle that I've die cut. So I'm going to layer this onto here. And again, I'll put all the measurements. I can't remember the size of this because it's an oddball size. So we're just going to go ahead and layer that. And you'll just have to take my word for it. I will put the measurements up after I eat dinner. My husband just came home with my dinner. It's Takeout Tuesday in our house. All right, so then I have a little bit of the foil. So this is cut, you know that section in the middle of the piece that we used for the first card? It's kind of got nothing, it's just plain foil. I actually cut that to create a mat behind. So I wanted just a little hint of foil. So I created a mat to go behind my focal image. So we're gonna add that layer and center it. And the thing with liquid glue and foil paper is you have to give it a little bit of time to set up, right? The liquid glue doesn't set quite as quickly on foil paper. So then we're going to add our little bits and bobs here. So I have one of these little fern guys. So again, we're going to pop that on thanks to the adhesive sheets. Makes it quick and easy to do. So we'll just pop that one on there. Okay, and then our eucalyptus, we're going to glue this one flat. So again, we'll add just a little liquid glue. Come on. There we go. And we're going to pop that one on right about there. And then finally we have this little guy. Again, don't know what kind of plant it is, but sort of a broader leaf plant. And it's going to go right about there. Okay, and then of course we have our little foil pot that's going to go at the bottom. So just like we did on the card, we're going to add a couple of dimensionals, and we're going to add our little pot sort of at the bottom and hopefully centered across our little rectangle there. That's going to go on there. Now before we do that, we're going to add some ribbon. So did I bring my pool party ribbon over? No, I did not. It's way over there. All right, so this beautiful sheer pool party ribbon has been around for a year or so, and I love it. I'm hoping it never leaves because it's beautiful, soft ribbon. So I'm going to cut probably, I don't know, what is that, 18 inches maybe? Just because I need enough that I can tie a bow, right? So it's going to wrap around our box and come out to the right, okay? So in order to secure this, I'm going to put just a little bit of seal across here, just so that my ribbon doesn't sort of pop and slip and slide around as I'm trying to stick my focal image down, okay? So then we're ready to go ahead and add that focal image. So let's just make sure those are nice and secure. This is going to get popped on with a couple of dimensionals. So we'll add those, get rid of our backings here. And then that is going to go on centered on our box, just like that. Okay, now we've got that on, we can tie our little bow. And again, you'll thank yourself for giving yourself enough length on the ribbon to tie it. If you are a little bit stingy with your ribbon, you will have a hard time tying your bow. So don't be afraid to, give yourself enough room to tie your bow with. So there's our cute little bow. And I love this ribbon because it pulls so nice and tight. You get a nice tight bow on it. Okay, and then I fussy cut a sentiment. So this is sending hugs. I thought, how cute would it be to actually put some Hershey hugs in this box and have that sentiment? I thought that would just be adorable. I didn't plan that. After I designed it, I'm like, oh, I need to get hugs and put them in there because it would just be perfect. So, and the hugs come in a nice foil wrapping, so it would work really well with the color scheme. So that's what I'm going to do with my box. So there we go, fussy cut sentiment and all, and then we're going to add a little bit of bling, just like we did on the card. So we'll add a couple more of these fun sequins. So we'll put one here, and we'll tuck one sort of over here, just like that. There we go. Isn't that a cute little box? And so easy. Like, how cute would that be for a wedding favor, right? Wouldn't it be fun to put, like, I think this would be great to put Hershey hugs in there and have those as wedding favors. I think that'd make a great little wedding gift. All right, so that is our sort of bonus project. So we have our little ensemble there. We have our fun folds, and we have our super quick and easy cards. So there you go. There are your projects for today. I hope you enjoyed them. And I hope this gives you some ideas. So any pre-printed card base, you could turn into one of these little boxes. I'm just saying, we have lots of those in the catalog. So lots of ideas for that. Okay? All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.